We're the Avengers. We can bust arms dealers all the livelong day, but that up there, that's the end game.
With all 6 stones, I could simply snap my fingers. They would all cease to exist.
Tony. There was no other way. We're in the end game now.
The end is near. Hey everybody, this is going to be my Avengers 4 video all about what the title of that is going to be. So Infinity War Parts 1 and 2 were what we knew about a couple years ago. But then a while ago, they said that they were not going to be calling Avengers 4 Infinity War Part 2 because the story was going to be completely different. So we're going to be talking about very specific things from Infinity War. Careful for spoilers if you have not seen the movie yet. But this is just the beginning of Avengers 4, Captain Marvel, and all the Deadpool stuff that's coming. Be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. There's still giveaway stuff happening that I'll talk about at the end of the video. But now you kind of see why I use those Age of Ultron Infinity War mashup clips. We're in Endgame now. That up there is Endgame. How are you guys planning on dealing with that? So Tony Stark talking about Endgame as far back as Age of Ultron. Kevin Feige confirmed that the title of Avengers 4 is not Infinity Gauntlet. He's like, that is not at all what the title is going to be. So given what happened during Infinity War, the complete Thanos arc, him basically doing what he did during the Infinity Gauntlet comic book storyline, means that they might move completely past that with maybe grabbing a couple of story beats. There was also that tag at the end of the movie that said Thanos will return, meaning that Thanos would be an important part of Avengers 4. So it's not like he's going to go off into the sunset and we'll never see him again. The quote from the writers of Infinity War is actually pretty funny too. They say, "This is a hero's journey for Thanos. By the end of this hero's journey, our main character, our protagonist, at least in his case, gets what he wants. Even if the end is tragedy, we wanted it to be definitive. To say, oh my gosh, what's he going to do? He's only got one Infinity Stone left. I wonder if he'll get the other one." The Infinity Gauntlet was charred after he used it, but it looks like the gems still work just fine, so maybe they get a couple more uses out of it. I think they just wanted to show you that you couldn't just use that an infinite number of times. There's a limit on the amount that you can wield that power. So maybe we get to use it once more and then something happens at the end of Avengers 4 to either scatter the gems or shatter most of them so that it's not reusable. But because of that Age of Ultron and the Infinity War clips, Doctor Strange talking about we're in Endgame now, Kevin Feige and the Russos teasing that Avengers 4 will be the end of this giant story that they've been telling since the first Iron Man film. So it's sort of the end of this first era of Marvel films. We're moving into something else. So that's why two most likely titles for Avengers 4, I think, are Avengers The End or Avengers Endgame. They actually said that they came up with the title for Avengers 4 pretty early in the process when they were breaking the stories for Infinity War Part 1 and 2. That's also probably when they decided that the story for Avengers 4 would be so fundamentally different that they wouldn't call it Part 2 anymore. And also, I think it makes it a little easier to market the movie. Like, people won't feel like they're going to see the exact same movie. The Russos also said, we do have a name for Avengers 4, we're just not announcing it, and I think we came to that name fairly early in the development process. It speaks to the heart of the story. And I think the heart of the story is the idea that it's the end of everything they've been doing the last 10 years, which is why Endgame makes a little more sense. But if you haven't read it, there's actually a non-canonical Marvel story called Marvel's The End, where Thanos reboots the universe, but it's not because of Infinity Gauntlet related stuff. It has to do with something called the heart of the universe, like Gamora is Thanos' heart. He finds there's a fundamental flaw in the universe, so the cosmic forces try to stop him from doing this, but they can't. He moves too fast. He becomes one with the entire universe, so like he is the universe effectively. He reboots himself, and that's how he fixes things. Now, Tom Brevoort said that that story is non-canonical, but that doesn't matter. Like, they can pull inspiration and ideas from anywhere they want to. So it's not like they're going to be doing a specific comic book story for Avengers 4. They're just going to be cherry-picking details from the Infinity Saga relative to Thanos' character in the major over-arc. But also, it sounds like from some other places, like Avengers The End, because no matter what happens, if Thanos is the one to ultimately fix everything, like he realizes he's wrong, or Iron Man wields an Infinity Gauntlet and fixes everything, they have to effectively reboot the universe to fix all the things that Thanos changed. Like, I think that's part of the idea of Doctor Strange's plan.
Went forward in time to view alternate futures, to see all the possible outcomes of the coming conflict.
How many did you see?
14,605,000.
How many we win?
Tony, there was no other way. We're in Endgame now. Like, the plan was so horrific, but it was the only way that they could ultimately win. They had to let Thanos win, snap his fingers, erase half of all life. But that doesn't mean that Thanos isn't also going to be the hero of Avengers 4 when you look at it from a funny perspective. Avengers Infinity War is kind of Thanos' movie. You could call it Thanos Infinity War, and that would be a more accurate title. Avengers 4 sounds like it's going to focus more on the Avengers characters, but Thanos is still an important part of it. Otherwise, they wouldn't have had that tag, Thanos will return. Because that's what they used to put at the end of the Phase 1, Phase 2 movies. Captain America will return. Thor will return. So they're kind of twisting the knife a little bit by saying that Thanos will return, but they're also implying that he might wind up being a hero at the end of the day, even though he's still technically the villain. Like, he erased half of all life. Even if he fixes everything, if he's the one to reboot the universe, then he's still an asshole that deserves to die. But the whole idea is that Zoe Saldana, Gamora, said that she's coming back during Avengers 4. We've been making all kinds of theories about how the Avengers can use Ant-Man and the Wasp powers to go down into the Soul World. All the people that were turned to ash, we know they're coming back because Black Panther and Spider-Man are definitely coming back because they're getting sequels. So therefore, you can assume that pretty much anybody that was turned to ash can come back. Doesn't mean that everybody that died will come back, just the people that were turned to ash. The funny twist with Thanos sitting looking upon the grateful universe at the end of the movie, like he says, is actually from the end of the Infinity Gauntlet storyline. So that kind of already lets you know that they're not going to be doing the end of Infinity Gauntlet for Avengers 4. It'll be something a little bit different. But they spent so much time trying to make Thanos seem like a well-balanced character during Infinity War, not a mustache-twirling villain, that it doesn't seem like Avengers 4 will be so simple as the Avengers stealing the gauntlet from him, then fixing everything. So let me know in the comments, do you think that Thanos will ultimately be the one to fix everything a la Marvel's The End? Or do you think it's actually going to be one of the Avengers wielding the gauntlet like Captain America or Iron Man, having to sacrifice one of the others to reboot the universe again? Then they go on to say, Avengers 4 doesn't do what you think it does. It's a different movie than what you think it is. Also, the deaths are real. I just want to tell you it's real, and the sooner you accept that, the sooner you'll be able to move on to the next stage of grief. Which is kind of funny that they're telling everybody to move on to the next stage of grief. But just let me know in the comments, what do you think the title of Avengers 4 is? Keeping in mind that it's definitely not Infinity Gauntlet per Kevin Feige.